The topic that I chose for my literature review is fluency, and the research question that I ask is what are the best strategies to help 4th through 6th grade students struggling with fluency while meeting their interests? The main reason why I chose this topic was because of a position that I held as a home instructor. This was with a 6th grade student on house arrest who was once in my 3rd grade classroom. He was reading at the same level that he left my room on in 2nd grade. I used modeling and repeated readings to help with fluency and really wanted to know if what I was doing was the most effective intervention or if another intervention might be better. Another reason why this topic is important is because of the statistics of 4th grade students in the US. 1/3 of all US 4th graders are behind in reading, and this equates to 33% overall and 49% for minorities, even higher. Over and over, the research that I have read has talked about how students move from learning to read to reading to learn. It's imperative for success in and out of school. Students who cannot read by 3rd grade have higher dropout rates and are more likely to interact with the criminal justice system. And without success in reading, it also affects a student after school with higher unemployment and lower paying jobs. And finally, 1 in 5 adults in the US is considered to possess low literacy skills, and this translates to 43 million adults. Let's look at the historical background of fluency. Wolf and Katzir-Cohen say, the history of fluency research in the field of reading might be categorized as intellectually spasmodic. There are periods of great effort and creativity, followed by fallow periods of relative disinterest. In 1983, fluency was described as the most neglected reading skill. Cautel was an experimental psychologist who found that letters and words are named more quickly than things like colors and pictures of objects. He was the first researcher to focus on automaticity and found that reading rate increased with semantic and syntactic information. Huey understood automaticity in reading well and was said to be ahead of his time. He said that practice or repetition is important and saw that fluent readers are able to focus on details, read effortlessly, read faster, and do not have to spend time thinking about how to decode. LaBerge and Samuels brought attention back to a fluency proposed model of automaticity using principles of the information processing theory. They focused on how researchers are able to look at letters, spelling patterns, words, and familiar word groups as one unit with exposure and practice, leading to automaticity. The reader's focus can then be on making meaning. Carver focused on the connection between fluency and comprehension. He believed that most reading is done in the rotting mode, where we read as quickly as we can comprehend. Connectionist models added to information processing models, but also stress the importance of linguistic features such as fluency, regularity, and the amount of processing code connections among individual words. The definition that Wolf and Katzir-Cohen provide for fluency is to connect text quickly, smoothly, effortlessly, and automatically with little thought of the process. Some current definitions are criticized for their lack of components and oversimplifying the complex process of fluency. And finally, Kame Inui, Simmons, Good, and Ham believe fluency is the development of lower level skills and the outcome of proficiency in higher level processes and component skills. The government sees that fluency is a problem, and they have attempted to ensure that all students are reading on grade level by the time that they leave the 3rd grade with the Ohio 3rd grade reading guarantee. Rosinski, Rickley, and Johnston point out that fluency continues to be problematic and instruction often ends in the primary grades. And fluency has been found to be the greatest deficit for struggling readers. Clark, Morrison, and Wilcox point out that fluency is often assessed, but instruction is lacking. Guerin and Murphy suggest that instruction in fluency is sometimes lacking in older grades because it is perceived to be part of instruction for younger students, is seen as part of good reading rather than as a support for good reading, and is not fully understood. The findings of my research conclude that repeated readings, mixed methods, reader's theater, and phonics are effective at improving fluency. Overwhelmingly, repeated readings had the most research on fluency that I could find. Wagner and Espen were the only ones that compared multiple interventions against one another, and they found that repeated readings and a mixed methods approach were the most effective. Reader's theater is one that was mentioned as a way to not only improve fluency, but also meet student interest. Let's look at the stakeholders. Students have the most to lose. Fluency is a huge factor in success in and out of school. For parents, they're counting on schools to help their children learn to read. For teachers, this reflects our professional practice, and we want our students to leave our classrooms with the skills that they need to be successful. For schools, reading reflects report cards. Reading also affects the economy. Disfluent readers often find themselves being unemployed or in low-paying jobs, and this affects the economy as a whole. It can also affect the criminal system. Students need reading to be successful. Just as sports help students to make better life choices, so does reading. And this can also affect future generations. Literate parents are going to be more capable of helping their children to become fluent readers. The research question that I ask is, what are the best strategies to help 4th through 6th grade students struggling with fluency while meeting their interests? I would like to use a mixed methods approach if I were to continue this research. I've really enjoyed reading the research that uses both qualitative and quantitative data, and I see the strength that it brings to the research. A lot of the research that I've read has been case studies, and I would like to use a slightly bigger population, but still doable size of a classroom. In the last position that I had as a classroom teacher during intervention, each student would go to an extension group, a comprehension group, or a fluency group. So it would be easy to take that fluency classroom and use a mixed methods approach with them to study different interventions. As Wagner and Espen point out, few studies have been done that compare interventions, so this is something that I would want to do. And data could be collected with assessments, observations, and student surveys. Finally, here are the references for this presentation.